Yo, what up, you guys? It's your boy, the Kryptonian, saying here, bringing you a review for One Piece Chapter 223. Man, I like this chapter. I really like this chapter. I'm going to give this one a 5 out of 5, and the reason I'm going to give it 5 out of 5 is it was very entertaining to watch how one of the first things you see is Zoro and Luffy. They're walking, and I don't know why, okay? But for some reason, I was getting that feeling of Luffy and Zoro and Sanji walking to Arlong Park right after Luffy, took his straw hat and was just like, "Yo, Nami, you sit right here. I'm going to take care of these guys for you." And he just walks into Arlong Park and he just knocks Arlong out, okay? Like, I'm getting the same vibes. And I like how Nami was just like, oh, if these two are going, there's definitely going to be a fight. I'm going. And the thing about it is she hops off and she runs after them. And in typical simp fashion, okay? Sanji's just like, oh, I'm going too if Nami's going. And, Usopp and Chopper are like, if you go, nobody will be here to protect the ship. And that's when we find out that Robin's gone. So what I thought was interesting, sorry I had a burp, but what I thought was interesting about that is, once again, Robin is acting of her own accord. And it's like she's doing the Itachi shit every fucking chapter. And I hate saying that over and over, but she's moving with the best interests of the crew, but she's doing things her way. And it's like she's a team player, but she's playing by a different set of rules. So I don't have a problem with that. But at the same time, I still find that a little interesting. If I didn't see that whole spiel about how she was indebted to Luffy and everything because Luffy saved her life, I would definitely say that she's up to something. But now that we know her, we know that she's part of the team and everything, you kind of just roll with it. But this chapter, what really made this chapter good is you see the dynamics of the crew, okay? Because Luffy and Zoro, they're walking together. You have Captain and First Mate, and then you have Nami who's there. And what I love about that is Nami is doing what I've said in a lot of other reviews, which is she's the reader at this point. Like, she's the ordinary person. She's on the ship with all of these talented people, and yes, she's the navigator. She's very smart in that aspect, but at the same time, you could make a very strong argument that she's the normal person in the crew. So even as the woman, like you could have said before, like, oh, it's because she's a woman, that's why she doesn't have the brute strength or these combat related skills. But Miss All Sunday, I mean, she took out Pell, like, so you know that, like, in this case, Oda intended for her to be just the normal person of the crew. And she basically promises, makes Luffy promise, hey, I don't need you picking any fights. And when you think about it, every time they've been somewhere and Luffy's gotten into it with somebody, they've been there for a long ass time. And when that's happened, it's usually there's other stuffs. In this case, they have 4 days until the log resets. And the thing is Nami says, I want to be gone in 2. She's doing the smart thing. She wants to play it safe. And when she says that, Luffy is picking fights. Like, he's in a pissing contest with this big oaf at the bar. And, like, the guy's just like, the meat sucks. And Luffy's like, the meat's good. The pie sucks. The pie's good. The drink sucks. The drink's good. I'll take 52 cases of meat. I'll take 80 cases of pie. Like, they're just going in this huge pissing contest. And Luffy says, oh, well, I have a $30 million bounty. And the guy's like, you $30 million. And that's the second time the 30 million bounty mark got thrown out there. And what got me is I was like, if I'm not mistaken, didn't Luffy's bounty go up? Isn't he at 100 million now? Like, oh man, this kind of got me for a second. Like, I'm gonna have to go back at the end of this chapter and look to see if it is 100 million. I could swore Luffy's at 100 and Sanji's like at 60. Not Sanji, Zoro's at 60 now. So with that being said, the fact that, the Bellamy Pirates have outdated information, it just proves me right, okay? If this is a $100 million bounty on a berry bounty on Luffy, they're going to be in for a huge ass surprise, because one of the first mates for the Bellamy Pirates is just like, who are these guys? And that's when we find out, one of the guys that's speaking said they've racked up a hell of a reputation, let them live. And we know that these pirates are occupying. And during different courses during the chapter, you know, Zoro and Luffy, they meet one of the guys called the Grappler, and they want to mix it up with him. And Nami's just like, you promised not to fight. There's a scene where it looks like Nami was about to fight Luffy because she's choking him because Luffy's stupid ass ate an apple that had been causing other people to explode. And Luffy's just like, what's the big deal? It's an apple. Things like that happen. And it's just like, dude, you can't do that. Not on the Grand Line where there's so many dangerous people. You've got to be careful. So that night, I wouldn't even call it naive. I would just say Luffy doesn't pay attention to his surroundings. You know, he just kind of flies by the seat of his pants. You got to be careful with that. But since that is a weakness, I like how Oda has surrounded him with people who can kind of keep him grounded, centered, and I like how during that point when it looked like Luffy's life was in danger, you get this really cool shot where Zoro is just looking and you can tell Zoro's like, if something happens to him, I'm fucking you up. Like, I like that. I like seeing that loyalty and dedication. Overall, like I said, very entertaining chapter. My chapter question for you guys is, what do you think about the fact that, and this is more for me, okay? But what do you think about the fact that the Bellamy Pirates might have outdated information on the bounties, and what did you think would be the reaction when they found out that Luffy basically took down Baroque Works? But as always, if you like anything I had to say, hit that like button, comment, rate, subscribe, share. I'll greatly appreciate it. That's it. Thanks for watching Kryptonia saying.
「